The Beatles built their reputation on unforgettable melodies and timeless pop songs, but they were also fearless musical explorers. As the 1960s progressed, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr pushed the limits of what popular music could sound like. Working alongside producer George Martin and engineer Geoff Emerick, they transformed the recording studio into an instrument of its own. Tape loops, reverse recordings, orchestral chaos, Indian instruments, tape speed manipulation, and surreal sound effects all became part of their creative vocabulary. The result was a collection of songs that still sound remarkably futuristic decades later. Here are 6 Beatles songs that sound as if they arrived from another planet. Number 1. Tomorrow Never Knows. If there is one Beatles song that truly deserves the title of sounding extraterrestrial, it is Tomorrow Never Knows. Released in 1966 as the closing track on Revolver, the song completely shattered expectations of what a rock band could create. Instead of relying on traditional chord progressions, it stays rooted on a single harmonic drone, while layers of tape loops swirl around the listener like signals from deep space. John Lennon wanted his voice to sound like the Dalai Lama chanting from the highest mountain. George Martin achieved something remarkably close by routing Lennon's vocals through a rotating Leslie speaker, creating a ghostly, floating effect, unlike anything heard in mainstream music at the time. Meanwhile, Ringo Starr's hypnotic drum groove anchors the entire experiment, while distorted seagull-like tape loops, backward sounds, and manipulated recordings drift in and out of the mix. Nearly 60 years later, the song still feels less like a product of the 1960s and more like a transmission from the future. Number 2. A Day in the Life.
I read the news today, oh boy.
Few songs in rock history are as ambitious and mysterious as A Day in the Life. Rather than writing one complete composition, John Lennon and Paul McCartney combined 2 entirely separate ideas into a single piece. The result feels almost dreamlike, shifting between Lennon's reflective verses and Paul McCartney's energetic middle section before exploding into one of the most famous orchestral crescendos ever recorded. Instead of asking the orchestra to play a conventional arrangement, McCartney instructed the musicians to begin on their lowest notes and gradually climb to the highest notes at their own pace. Many classically trained musicians found the instructions confusing. As McCartney later recalled, that was too puzzling for them. They like it written down, and they like to know exactly what they're supposed to do, so that's why it sounds like a chaotic sort of swirl. That controlled chaos gives the song its otherworldly atmosphere, culminating in the enormous piano chord that rings out for nearly a minute, leaving listeners suspended somewhere between reality and imagination. Number 3. I Am the Walrus. If Tomorrow Never Knows sounds futuristic, I Am the Walrus sounds completely unhinged, in the best way possible. By 1967, fans and critics had begun dissecting every Beatles lyric for hidden meanings. John Lennon grew tired of endless interpretations, so he intentionally wrote a song that would resist explanation. The lyrics abandoned conventional storytelling altogether. I am the Eggmen, they are the Eggmen. I am the Walrus, goo goo gajoob. As if that weren't strange enough, the recording piles together strings, brass, choral vocals, unusual percussion, and even a live BBC radio broadcast of Shakespeare's King Lear during the closing section. The result isn't simply psychedelic, it's surreal. Listening to I Am the Walrus feels like tuning into a broadcast from another civilization where everything somehow follows a different set of rules. Number 4. Strawberry Fields Forever.
Strawberry fields forever.
John Lennon once described Strawberry Fields Forever as an attempt to capture the feeling of memory rather than reality. That goal led to one of the most technically daring recordings the Beatles ever made. Lennon loved two different versions of the song but couldn't choose between them. One was slower and more reflective, while the other was faster and more orchestrated. Rather than selecting one take, George Martin performed what seemed impossible by altering the tape speed of both recordings until they matched closely enough to splice together. The seamless edit became one of the greatest studio achievements of the era. Combined with the haunting mellotron introduction, reversed cymbals, dreamlike production, and lyrics like "Nothing is real," the song creates the sensation of drifting through memories that exist somewhere between dreams and reality. Number 5. Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite.
For the benefit of Mr. Kite, there will be a show tonight on.
Inspired by an antique circus poster John Lennon purchased, Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite became one of Sgt. Pepper's strangest sonic adventures. John Lennon wanted listeners to feel as though they had stepped inside an old Victorian circus. Rather than relying on ordinary instruments, George Martin and engineer Geoff Emerick recorded carnival organs, chopped the tapes into dozens of tiny pieces, tossed them into the air, and randomly stitched them back together. The unpredictable fragments created swirling carnival sounds that no musician could have performed live. The final recording feels simultaneously playful, unsettling, and completely detached from everyday reality, as though the circus itself had landed from another world. Number 6. Blue Jay Way. George Harrison's Blue Jay Way may be one of the Beatles' most underrated experiments. Written while Harrison waited for friends to arrive through the thick Los Angeles fog, the song transforms an ordinary moment into something deeply eerie. Everything about the recording feels suspended in time. The organ drones endlessly, Harrison's vocals are drenched in phasing effects, harmonies rarely resolve, and the repetitive rhythm creates a hypnotic atmosphere that slowly pulls the listener deeper into its haze. Unlike many Beatles songs that eventually burst into bright melodies, Blue Jay Way remains mysterious from beginning to end. It's less like listening to a pop song and more like wandering through a fog-covered alien city where familiar landmarks slowly disappear into the distance. The Beatles didn't simply write great songs, they redefined what recorded music could become. Through fearless experimentation and groundbreaking studio techniques, they created recordings that still sound startlingly modern decades later. Whether it's the hypnotic tape loops of Tomorrow Never Knows, the orchestral chaos of A Day in the Life, the surreal nonsense of I Am the Walrus, the dreamlike memories of Strawberry Fields Forever, the carnival hallucinations of Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite, or the haunting atmosphere of Blue Jay Way, these songs prove that the Beatles were never content to stay on Earth. They didn't just push the boundaries of pop music, they briefly made it sound like it came from another planet.